Hey everybody, apologize for the voice. I just returned from the Astral Plane with blog post number 2 for Doctor Strange and the Shadows of Nightmare. We got 2 new keywords, more than I expected. Let's take a look. Demons offer gifts of power with a dark price, hoping to corrupt the souls of mortals. These deals with the devil are especially corrupting to the powerful and arrogant. The humble are more likely to escape with their souls intact. Some villains say things like, fight, choose a player to make a demonic bargain with Satana Hellstrom to rescue 3 bystanders. That player discards the top card of their deck to see if they are corrupted by power. If that discarded card costs 1 or more, that player is too powerful and arrogant to resist temptation and gains a wound to the demon's delight. If the discarded card costs 0, then that player has been humble enough to resist corruption. Whether that player gained a wound or not, they then gain the demonic bargain's listed benefit. And the first card we see with Demonic Bargain is indeed Satana Hellstrom, a villain from Lords of the Netherworld. She is a 5-attack villain worth 3 VP, and with the exact fight effect we just read, choose a player to make a Demonic Bargain with Satana Hellstrom to rescue 3 bystanders. Looks like a great villain group to go along with Underworld from Dark City, and mess with the other players if you want by giving them bystanders but making them perhaps gain a wound. Very interesting. Next, we have our first look at a hero with Demonic Bargain, Klee, our first look at one of her commons, Demonic Descendant. It is a covert card with a cost of 4 and worth 2+ Recruit. You may make a Demonic Bargain to get +2 Recruit. The daughter of Umar, niece of Dormammu, and one-time wife of Doctor Strange, Klee is used to awkward family reunions. Let's hope so. So interesting, you can Demonic Bargain yourself, so you can almost always guarantee 4 Recruit from this card, which is pretty good for a 4-cost common. You do have to deal with the potential wounds, of course, but having that option is great. There's a little more here to go over about Demonic Bargain. Some cards have you choose which player must make a bargain for a benefit. When this happens, think carefully about how many cards in your deck cost 0. If most of your deck is still 0-cost cards, it may be worthwhile to seize the power of the Demonic Bargain for yourself. If your deck has lots of high-cost cards, then it may be wiser to choose another player to make the Demonic Bargain instead. When you choose a player to make a Demonic Bargain, that player cannot decline. And with that, here's a look at another Lords of the Netherworld villain, Baron Mordo. Just like Satana Hellstrom, Baron Mordo is a 5-attack, 3 VP villain with no effects besides fight. Choose a player to make a Demonic Bargain with Baron Mordo to draw 2 extra cards at the end of this turn. This keyword strikes me as giving you the choice between being super cooperative or super competitive. You can really make sure you know what everybody's deck holds to make sure nobody suffers the wound, or you can make sure everybody else gets wounds except for you. They might get some positives out of it, but still, I love this. And if that wasn't enough, we actually get our first look at one of these schemes from this set, Claim Souls for Demons. This seems to be a scheme built around Demonic Bargain. Let's take a look. Set up 8 twists, twist 1 to 3. Each player makes a Demonic Bargain to rescue a bystander. If that bargain wounds that player, stack that bystander next to the scheme as a tormented soul instead. Twist 4 to 8, each player makes a Demonic Bargain to gain a shield officer. If that bargain wounds that player, stack that officer next to the scheme as a tormented soul instead. Evil wins when the number of tormented souls is 4 times the number of players. Now, as the later the game goes on, the harder it's going to be to avoid the wounds from Demonic Bargain, because naturally you should have been KOing your 0-cost heroes. This is going to be very tricky. It's also making me realize that Demonic Bargain and Ritual Artifact have an interesting dynamic. So ritual artifacts, like other artifacts, when you play them, they go out into the field and they're no longer in your deck or discard pile, which means you cannot reveal them with a Demonic Bargain. So timing seems to be everything. Do you want to leave a ritual artifact out to make sure that you don't get a wound from a Demonic Bargain? Is it safe to discard your ritual artifact as soon as you complete the Demonic Bargain because it goes to your discard pile right away? Interesting dynamic. It'll be fun to see this in practice. And here's the second keyword revealed today, Astral Plane. The Fear Lords are cruel demons that move themselves and others beyond the physical world to a realm of pure psychic energy. There they prey on the human psyche, evoking nightmare and terror. Some villains say things like, fight. If this villain was in the city, it enters the Astral Plane. The Astral Plane is a single, unique space that only exists in games with cards that use the Astral Plane. It sits immediately to the right of the villain deck. While a villain is in the Astral Plane, it has no physical form. It can only be fought with Recruit, not Attack. To fight a 5-attack villain, you must spend 5 Recruit. When you fight a villain in the Astral Plane, put it in your victory pile and do its fight effect as normal. When a villain enters the Astral Plane, any villain already there escapes. This causes all the same effects as if that villain had escaped the city, including KOing from the HQ, discarding from captured bystanders, and escape abilities. What a clever mechanic that reminds me of the Beyonder's Pocket Dimension, but very different. The first villain with Astral Plane is Despair. Despair is our first look at the Fear Lord's villain group. He is also a 5-attack, 3 VP villain. With an ambush effect, Despair enters the Astral Plane and captures a bystander, fight, KO a hero, then if Despair was in the Astral Plane, he enters the city, ignoring his ambush ability. I'm guessing this entire villain group and maybe more have ambush. They enter the Astral Plane, which will cause them to immediately escape. There's another one already there, and with bystanders there, that's tricky because you will have to discard 1 card per player for a bystander that escaped. This also reminds me of Prey from Messiah Complex, the last expansion, where the villain enters the city and goes somewhere else, but in this case, that's what happens. He enters the city and then goes to the Astral Plane. It also reminds me of things like Fateful Resurrection, because if you fight Despair and a certain thing happens, in this case, if he was in the Astral Plane, he goes into the city again after you already fought him. One other thing I noticed about Despair here is that his fight effect says KO a hero, not KO one of your heroes. So I think that must mean you can KO any hero anywhere? I gotta make sure I read into that. And our second example of Astral Plane is our first look at the Ancient One's hero set. So the Ancient One is unaffiliated. This card is Astral Confrontation, one of the Ancient One's commons. It is a covert card with 2 recruit and a cost of 3. You may have a villain from the city enter the Astral Plane. Physical power means nothing when a spirit transcends its body. Okay, so if you're having a villain from the city enter the Astral Plane, I see one benefit is that you're emptying the city a little bit, but the downside is that they could escape quicker if another villain comes in who goes into the Astral Plane. So I wonder if there's heroes like the Ancient One who get buffs against fighting villains in the Astral Plane or somewhere else. I guess time will tell on that one. But there's a little more here when it comes to the Astral Plane. The Mastermind Nightmare can also enter the Astral Plane. While there, he can only be fought with recruit, not attack. If he escapes the Astral Plane, do all the normal effects for a villain escaping the city. Then do the escape ability written on Nightmare, which moves him to the Mastermind space. The Astral Plane is not a city space, it's not adjacent to any city spaces. Card effects can't move or swap villains to or from the Astral Plane unless they explicitly mention the Astral Plane. Villains do ambush effects when they enter the city. The Astral Plane is not part of the city, so villains that enter the Astral Plane don't do their ambush effects at that time. And here he is, Nightmare, the Mastermind. When you fight Nightmare in the Astral Plane, instead of revealing a tactic, KO one of your heroes and Nightmare moves to the Mastermind space. Always leads the Fear Lords, Master Strike. Nightmare enters the Astral Plane. If he was already there, each player discards a random card. Escape. Each player KOs one of their non-gray heroes. Nightmare moves to the Mastermind space. By the way, he's worth 6 VP and only 6 attack. However, you do have to keep in mind that he is tough to defeat. His Mastermind card reminds me a little bit of Lady Deathstrike, but also Hyperion, because when you hit him in the Astral Plane, he doesn't give you a tactic. He goes to the Mastermind space. You've got to hit him while he's in the Mastermind space in order to actually do some progress in taking him down. Man, I look forward to seeing what his tactics actually look like. I'm kind of terrified. And we get a look at another scheme today, War for the Dream Dimension, this one featuring Astral Plane. Set up 7 twists, add an extra villain group. Twist, reveal the top 2 cards of the villain deck. The villain you revealed with the highest printed attack enters the Astral Plane. It does not do any ambush abilities. If you reveal the second villain this way, that villain enters the city. Put the rest of the revealed cards back in any order. Evil wins when there are 3 villains per player in the escape pile or the villain deck runs out. This is really interesting because there are a ton of villains in Legendary with pretty nasty ambush abilities that will not trigger when they enter the Astral Plane this way, giving you a chance to take them down before that happens. I can think of villains with charge, villains with momentum, villains that play other cards from the villain deck. This will give you an extra chance to take them down before they do their ambush, but not a lot of time, so cool. And that is it for Blog Post 2. Doctor Strange in the Shadows of Nightmare releases next week on March 9th. As soon as I'm able to pick it up, I will be doing a unboxing and a complete card overview for all of you. Please subscribe to the channel if you'd like to be notified when that goes live. I'm going to give my voice some time to recover, so hopefully by that time it'll sound a little better. Thank you guys for sticking with me, and I will see you then. Take care, everybody.